Greetings. I'm going to break this up into a few shorter videos. This is kind of a complex thing, which I will get into at a later date and more in depth. Specifically with the cross-hatching involved with the masking fluid. One of the things is that using this liner brush over the top of the set masking fluid is entirely necessary with this right here, because steel nibs press into the paper and essentially cut into the paper. So any action like that is going to cut through the liquid mask, which sits on the paper. It's basically like a liquid masking tape, and it's very fragile. And this is ridiculous, really. It's completely unnecessary. To do something like this. Putting this lettering in a square box in a very conventional sense of the word would be far more effective, I guess. At least it would be more economical. It's a tedious process. But I enjoy the process, so the tedium doesn't bother me a bit. Now, most of the area where the lettering is will be covered over with black. But since I want to blend in the cross-hatching with the lettering in such a way that the cross-hatching has to be done this way, to blend both the lettering and the cross-hatching together. With paint and watercolor, you can blend, infinitely blend, but with ink, you're working with strict contrasts. And of course, you know, revolving around the AI thing, one has to ask the questions, why bother if AI is going to make this basically irrelevant? So one of the issues that comes about here, and this is prevalent with using the brush, is that the liquid mask, depending on how heavy it is on the paper, will act like a speed bump. And so as the brush goes over that speed bump, it will leave a little spot of the paper that is neither covered in liquid mask or ink. And again, this is why I'm breaking this up into several videos, because this is really tedious. And at a certain point, we just move on to and the biggest issue with something like this is if there's a major screw up, something doesn't work right, and you get this invested in something this complicated, it might wipe out the entire page and you might have to start from scratch. And I'm really wary about, I mean, it's entertaining and it's fun to experiment, but it gets to be a point to where you find yourself gambling with time. And that's really what it is. You're just gambling with time, because if you spend 3 or 4 hours on something and then it just goes belly up because a few things didn't go according to plan. I mean, sometimes the paper is just not receptive to this kind of activity, and it will start to peel up underneath the liquid mask. And so it'd be like ripping masking tape off a piece of newsprint. And a lot of times those kinds of instances of damage are not that terribly repairable. Now, if this was just doing a conventional square, panel, then you would just measure out the panel that needs to get replaced, and you just find another piece of paper and draw a new panel and just slap that on. But when you start getting into something like this, the options for that kind of major repair almost becomes impossible. Or, in a better sense of the word, not worth the time. So it'd be kind of nerve-wracking sometimes doing stuff like this. So there. We'll see how it turns out at a later date.